Jai Hind. Let's talk about an important task of the GTOs, that is military planning exercise, also called group planning exercise. Right? In our day-to-day life also, we are doing planning. But if we do such a planning for a military purpose, that is called military planning exercise. Suppose I have to take NCC cadets for firing on the range. I'll have to work out where to draw the weapons from, how to get the ammunition, how to take these cadets to the range, that is transportation. So all this is what? This is military planning exercise because it's for a military purpose. Same way, you will be given certain tasks, you will have certain resources, and based on those resources, you have to carry out the tasks which have been given to you in an efficient manner. And always, like in real life, you have more desires and less money. Same way, you always have less resources and you have to carry out more number of tasks. So it is how best you can utilize the resources to execute the task. So for such a thing, what will I have to do? I'll have to prioritize my tasks, right? As far as uh, group planning exercise in SSB is concerned, you can prioritize your task based on number of human lives involved. If you do it based on number of human lives involved, more often than not you will be correct, right? For example, there is a train which is likely to go over the bridge, and that bridge has been blown off by the terrorists, right? Same way, there is a road bridge which has been blown off. So if the train goes, that also is likely to go down, as the bus which will also go down if it goes over that. But you as an individual can save only one of them. So which one would you like to save? I'm sure the train, because it carries more number of people. So more human lives. Correct? Now suppose there is a train likely to go down, there is a bus likely to go down, and you have an accident which has taken place where two people are seriously injured. Now what do we do? Some of you will think that we should take the injured people first, right? But remember, if you do not take care of the train which is coming and likely to go down, then you'll have so many people injured, isn't it? The priorities that you are making, that is primarily to see whether you have sufficient resources to handle all the tasks or no. Execution we've not started yet. In execution you can change the sequence, but as far as planning is concerned, as far as prioritizing is concerned, you keep the resources in mind. For example, in this case, suppose you have sufficient resources to handle or to stop the trains from going over that bridge, right? Then you see that you also have sufficient resources to stop the buses so that they don't go over this damaged bridge. Now you find that you have sufficient resources for handling the injured also. When you are executing the task, then obviously you would like to send the injured people first to the hospital. Because if you don't send them now, they may not require your help because they'll be gone. Right? So basically the priorities you are making to see whether you have sufficient resources in mind or no. Correct? After you've done this, you will also have some of the tasks like maybe an old lady married for 50 years and her Mangal Sutra is hanging with a twig likely to fall in the river. Then you have train going down and the bus going down and you have injured people. So what will you do? Now some of you may get sentimental and say, no, we must help this old lady whose whole life is involved on this emotional thing called Mangal Sutra. But don't forget that people who are sitting in the train also are having their Mangal Sutras, right? So in such cases, you cannot think from your heart. You'll have to think with your brains and then work it out. It's not that you don't respect the lady. It's not that you don't want to help her. It's only that you want to sort out other tasks which are more priority tasks before you handle this particular task. Or you may have a task like goat is hanging with the on a cliff, likely to fall down, right? All of a sudden, you will find a lot of animal lovers will come into play, and they would say that we must save this goat. It's a poor animal who can't even speak. But if you ask him what did he have for dinner, he'll say chicken tandoori, right? So it's not that we are against protecting the animals. You should. Why not? But only if you have sufficient resources after handling all your priority tasks. Otherwise, don't get carried away on these smaller tasks or tasks of not so importance, right? So this is as far as your priorities are concerned. And when you're writing your priorities, always start with an action word called to. So it will be to stop the trains from going over the damaged bridge, or to stop the bus from going over the suspected bridge, to take the injured to the hospital, right? To extinguish the fire in village so and so. So this is how you're going to write, starting with the word to. So priorities you've done 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that part is taken care of. Correct. Now let me explain it a little further on the accident part, which I said that you can handle later, or you can handle in sequence. You can change the sequence of handling the accidented people, right? Even if the priority as far as human lives was concerned is low. Now suppose you have 200 rupees with you, and you have to buy a book which costs 150 rupees. You have to buy a notebook which costs 20 rupees, and you want to eat a burger which is 30 rupees. Correct? So 150 plus 20 plus 30, it counts up to exact 200 rupees. So it doesn't matter what you do first, you can always do all the three tasks. Correct? Now suppose you have a book which is 150 rupees, you have a notebook which is 20 bucks, and the burger costs 50 rupees. Now you have only 200 rupees. Now if you buy the burger first, then either you'll have to leave the book or you'll have to leave the notebook, which I consider to be priority tasks. Correct? So in the second instance, where you have lesser resources, you will have to go for the priority tasks only. Right? So if you have sufficient resources, then it doesn't matter whether you have burger first or you buy a notebook and the book first. Correct? Because you have sufficient resources. That's exactly I was trying to highlight when I said that you can take the injured people to the hospital first, provided you have sufficient resources for the train and the bus which are likely to go down. Right? I'm sure that makes priorities amply clear. In GTO's planning that you're doing, it's not mandatory for you to write the priorities. But it is better because you cannot make a plan without making the priorities. So it is better if you write down these priorities as well. Because if your priorities are correct, then automatically your planning is bound to be correct. Right? Now for doing these tasks, you will be given certain resources. And resources can be in terms of number of people that you are. Resources can be the arms and ammunition that you're carrying, or it can be the time in itself is also a resource. Suppose terrorists have poisoned a water tank in a village, and water is likely to be released to the villagers at 4 o'clock in the evening, and time now is 12 o'clock. Correct? So you have 4 hours before which you will have to stop the distribution of the water. Correct? So time also becomes a resource here. So these resources you are given, you have to take note of that, and then you can make certain reasonable assumptions. And what are these reasonable assumptions? Suppose there are 5 people walking on the road. Is it reasonable to assume in today's times that at least 3 of them will have a mobile phone with them? Actually speaking, all 5 may have, but it is sure 3 will definitely have. Correct? So it's reasonable to assume that. Suppose there is a town. Is it reasonable to assume that a town will have some presence of police? It may be a police chowki, police thana, it can be a control van, but definitely there will be something. Is it reasonable to assume that a manned railway crossing will have communication with the railway station? When I say manned railway crossing, this is those railway crossings where you have those fataks or barriers which a person puts down before a train is supposed to arrive. If he doesn't have communication with the railway station, how will he know that train is coming? He should put the barrier down. So definitely he'll have communication. Then only he will know a train is coming. Put the barrier down. Don't open the barrier because an engine is also coming. And now everything is passed. Please open the barrier. Right. So is it fair to assume that a town will have some presence of a hospital? It may be having a government hospital, it may be having a private hospital, a government dispensary, clinic, but something will be there, isn't it? But some presence of a hospital or medical facilities will be there. Even if it's not given that there is a hospital, you can always assume that if it's a town, it will have some medical facilities, you can send the injured there. Correct? So after this, we are left with how to go about writing your planning and the subsequent part of the GTO task. As far as group planning exercise is concerned, that we will cover in the next video. So if you've liked the video, do share with your friends and do like it also. Thank you. Jai Hind.